Krakow and Poland, the government vowed to pledge money to build a museum and a education center here. I haven't heard much about that recently, so I'm wondering if anything's been done. Up here is where it's supposed to be, but I'm sure not much has been dug yet. I'll go this way. Always interesting to see the contrast between the solemn, the historic, the preserved space, and the part where life goes on. This is one of the most awful places in the Holocaust. Granted, it was not up there with Auschwitz, but a lot of people suffered and died here. But right across the street, there's a Castorama. Hardware store, a Lowe's, a Home Depot sort of place. Right in here is the quarry where people worked and suffered. So it's the contrast between life goes on and remembering. This is the mass grave, this mound, and the monument to commemorate the victims. It overlooks the Castorama. And a highway and apartment buildings. You can't condemn it, just the way things are, but it's a contrast to point out. That's the monument to those who worked and suffered and died at the Plaszow. To the mass grave, the unknown victims who died here, who were buried here. is again what we showed you before, different side of the camp. But this is what it looked like. This camp was established in 1943 and lasted till my birthday, January 14th. Before I was born, 1945, of course. And there were only 600 people left here. At one point, it had almost 30,000. Although lots of folks worked here, different backgrounds, Poles and Jews made the majority. Jews, the most numerous of the victims. Back up to where I was before and around. It's gonna, rain clouds are coming in. And this is, again, here's the explanation of what this was, a mass site of execution. Victims in this site were mainly Poles. They were shot, bodies burned. This monument goes back to 1964, the height of the Soviet era. workshop area. Print shop, paper workshops, tailor shops. Actually, this is where it says after the ghetto closed, if you remember in the movie Schindler, they wanted him to have his operations here. Some of the other industrialists moved. Julius Madstrich, who was one of the industrialists at the camp, in the ghetto, moved here and had his tailor shops here after the fact, which meant that his workers were not able